Weak feelings are the silent killers of dreams, progress, and potential. They creep into your mind when you least expect them, disguising themselves as logical concerns, valid fears, or even necessary breaks. But in reality, they are chains holding you down, keeping you from moving forward and stopping you from becoming the person you are meant to be. Fear, doubt, and laziness are the three biggest forms of weak feelings that hold people back. Fear whispers that you're not ready, that you might fail, that people will judge you. It convinces you to stay where you are, in a safe zone where there's no risk but also no reward. Fear makes you hesitate when you should be acting. It makes you overthink when you should be taking steps forward. It creates problems that don't exist, keeping you stuck in a cycle of worry and inaction. Doubt is another dangerous, weak feeling. It makes you question your abilities, your worth, and your potential. Doubt tells you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. It makes you compare yourself to others and focus on your flaws instead of your strengths. The worst part about doubt is that it often comes from within. It is not the world telling you that you can't do something. It's your own mind betraying you. And if you listen to it, you will always play small, never taking the leap that could change your life. Then there's laziness, the silent, comfortable killer of ambition. It disguises itself as self-care, as the idea that you deserve a break, that you can always start tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year, and before you know it, opportunities have passed, potential has withered, and regrets have piled up. Laziness is seductive because it feels good in the moment. It tricks you into thinking you're choosing rest when, in reality, you are choosing stagnation. The most dangerous thing about weak feelings is that they feel natural. They don't come with warning signs or loud alarms. They don't announce themselves as enemies. Instead, they blend into your thoughts, making you believe they are part of who you are, but they are not. They are barriers that you must break through if you ever want to see your true potential. If you allow weak feelings to control your actions, you will live a life of regret. You will watch others take the risk you were too afraid to take. You will see others succeed because they pushed through doubt while you hesitated. You will realize that the only thing stopping you was never the world. It was always you. Weak feelings are an illusion. They are a mental prison that you must escape. And the first step to escaping is recognizing them for what they are: lies, distractions, and excuses. Once you see them clearly, you can begin to fight back. One of the biggest reasons people remain stuck in life is that they don't recognize weak emotions for what they truly are. They mistake them for truth, for logical reasoning, or even for genuine instinct. But in reality, weak emotions are deceptive. They cloud your judgment, distort your perception, and create obstacles that don't actually exist. If you don't train yourself to recognize them, you will unknowingly let them control your actions and decisions. What are weak emotions? They include fear, doubt, anxiety, laziness, procrastination, insecurity, and even overthinking. These emotions often disguise themselves as rational thoughts or gut feelings, but more often than not, they are just mental roadblocks that keep you from taking action. For example, fear may tell you that something is too risky, but is it really? Or is it just your mind trying to keep you in your comfort zone? Doubt may make you believe you're not good enough, but is that the truth? Or is it just a reflection of your own insecurities? The tricky thing about weak emotions is that they feel real in the moment. When you're afraid, your body reacts as if there's an actual threat, even when there's none. When you doubt yourself, your mind creates scenarios where you fail, even if those scenarios are purely imaginary. When you feel lazy, your brain convinces you that resting is the right choice, even when you know deep down that you should be working. This is why it's crucial to step back and analyze your emotions before letting them dictate your actions. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping me or is it holding me back? If it's holding you back, then it is a weak emotion and you need to recognize it as such. The moment you identify it, you take away some of its power. You realize that it is not an undeniable truth, but rather a temporary feeling that you can choose to overcome. Another way to recognize weak emotions is by paying attention to patterns. Do you always feel a sudden wave of fear before making a big decision? Do you find yourself constantly doubting your abilities whenever an opportunity arises? Do you tend to procrastinate when faced with something difficult? These patterns reveal the presence of weak emotions trying to keep you stuck. If you notice them appearing repeatedly, it's a sign that your mind is working against you rather than for you. It's important to understand that emotions are not facts. Just because you feel something does not mean it is true. Feeling afraid does not mean you are in danger. Feeling insecure does not mean you are incapable. Feeling unmotivated does not mean you should do nothing. When you separate your emotions from reality, you gain control over them. The more aware you become of them, the less power they have over you. Instead of blindly following every emotion that arises, you can question them, challenge them, and ultimately choose a response that aligns with your goals rather than your fears. Fear is one of the most deceptive emotions you will ever face. It feels real. It feels urgent. It grips your mind and body, making you believe that if you take a step forward, something terrible will happen. But the truth is, fear is rarely about actual danger. Instead, it is a mental illusion, a survival mechanism built into your brain that often works against you rather than for you. In ancient times, fear served a critical purpose. It protected humans from real threats, predators, dangerous environments, or life-threatening situations. But in today's world, most of the fear we experience is psychological, not physical. It is not fear of a wild animal attacking you. It is fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone. These fears are not real dangers. They cannot harm you physically. They exist only in your mind, and they hold you back from achieving your true potential. The problem is that your brain does not differentiate between real threats and imagined ones. It reacts the same way whether you are being chased by a lion or simply facing the fear of public speaking. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your mind tells you to retreat. But if you give in to that fear, you reinforce the idea that it is real. You teach yourself to back away whenever you feel discomfort, and over time, fear becomes your master. Think about all the things people avoid because of fear. How many dreams have gone unfulfilled because someone was too afraid to take the first step? How many opportunities have been missed because someone feared rejection? How many people live small, unfulfilling lives because they are afraid of the unknown? Fear is the invisible chain that keeps people trapped in mediocrity. Now ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What has fear stopped you from doing? What decisions have you postponed? What chances have you ignored simply because fear whispered in your ear that you weren't ready, that you might fail, that it was too risky? When you break it down logically, fear loses its power because in most cases, the worst possible outcome is not nearly as bad as your mind makes it seem. Failure is just a lesson. Rejection is just redirection. Discomfort, it's temporary. But do you know what is permanent? Regret. The regret of never trying. The regret of wondering what could have been if you had just pushed past your fear. Fear wants to control you, but it only has power if you listen to it. The way to overcome fear is not by waiting for it to disappear. It won't. The way to defeat fear is by acting despite it, by proving to yourself over and over again that fear is just a mental construct and that you are stronger than it. Fear is not real danger. It is just a feeling, and feelings do not define you. What defines you is what you choose to do despite them. Self-doubt is one of the most destructive forces in a person's life. It sneaks into your mind, planting seeds of uncertainty, making you question your abilities, your worth, and your potential. It whispers, "You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. Others are better than you, and you will fail. The problem is, many people believe these thoughts without ever questioning them. But here's the truth. Self-doubt is a liar. It is not based on reality. It is a false narrative that holds you back from becoming who you are meant to be. Think about how many opportunities you've avoided because of self-doubt. How many times have you hesitated to take action because you didn't believe in yourself? How many dreams have you abandoned? How many goals have you postponed simply because you convinced yourself that you weren't capable? The saddest part is that in most cases, you were more than capable. You just didn't give yourself the chance to prove it. Self-doubt is not something you are born with. It is something you learn. It comes from past failures, from negative experiences, from criticism, and sometimes from the way you were raised. If you were constantly told you weren't good enough, or if you experienced failure early in life, your mind starts to associate effort with disappointment. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. Whenever you face a challenge, your mind defaults to self-doubt rather than self-confidence. But just because you have doubted yourself in the past does not mean you have to continue doing so. The first step to overcoming self-doubt is realizing that it is not the truth. Just because you feel like you're not good enough does not mean you actually aren't. Feelings are not facts. The mind is powerful, but it is not always honest. It often magnifies insecurities, focuses on weaknesses, and exaggerates the possibility of failure. If you look at successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, or leaders, you'll notice that they experience self-doubt too. The difference is that they don't let it stop them. They act despite their doubt. They push forward even when they feel unprepared. And in doing so, they prove their own self-doubt wrong. Every time you take action despite doubt, you weaken its grip on you. You build confidence, not by waiting to feel confident, but by proving to yourself that you are capable. One of the biggest lies of self-doubt is the belief that you need to be perfect before you start. You don't. No one starts as an expert. No one is fully prepared when they begin something new. Confidence is built through experience, and experience only comes from taking action. If you keep waiting for the day when you finally feel ready, you will be waiting forever. Another lie self-doubt tells you is that everyone else is better, smarter, or more talented than you. But here's what most people don't realize. Everyone struggles with insecurities. Even the most successful people have moments of doubt. The difference is that they choose to silence that voice instead of listening to it. The mind can be your greatest enemy or your greatest weapon. It depends on how you train it. If you constantly feed your mind negative thoughts, if you always focus on your weaknesses instead of your strengths, self-doubt will grow stronger. But if you train yourself to recognize self-doubt as a liar, if you challenge it every time it appears, and if you take action despite its presence, you will eventually break free from its control. Self-doubt does not define you. It is just a temporary emotion, a mental roadblock that you have the power to overcome. You are more capable than you think, stronger than you believe, and far more powerful than the doubts in your mind want you to realize. Laziness is one of the most dangerous weaknesses a person can have. It doesn't seem as harmful as fear or self-doubt because it disguises itself as comfort, relaxation, or even self-care. But make no mistake, laziness is a silent killer of dreams, success, and self-discipline. It slowly drains your potential, keeping you in the same place while time passes, opportunities fade, and ambitions die. Laziness does not strike all at once. It creeps in little by little. It starts with small excuses. I'll do it later. I deserve a break. I'll start tomorrow. Before you know it, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly years have gone by and you are no closer to your goals than when you started. Laziness convinces you that you have time when in reality, time is slipping away. Think about all the people who once had big dreams but never achieved them. Was it because they weren't smart enough? No. Was it because they weren't talented enough? No. In most cases, it was because they lacked discipline and gave in to laziness. The difference between successful people and those who never reach their goals is not intelligence or luck. It's consistency. It's the willingness to put in the work even when they don't feel like it. Laziness is dangerous because it tricks you into thinking that short-term comfort is more important than long-term success. It makes sitting on the couch watching TV feel more appealing than going to the gym. It makes scrolling through social media feel easier than working on your skills. It makes sleeping in feel better than waking up early to chase your goals. But what laziness doesn't show you is the cost of these choices. Every time you choose laziness over discipline, you are delaying your own progress. One of the worst lies that laziness tells you is that you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes for lazy people. There will always be another excuse, another distraction, another reason to delay action. The only way to break free from laziness is to stop waiting for motivation and start developing discipline. Motivation is temporary, it comes and goes, but discipline is a habit, a skill that must be trained every single day. People often say they are lazy because they don't feel like doing something, but feelings are unreliable. If you only act when you feel like it, you will never get anything meaningful done. Success is built on doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. The greatest athletes train even on days when they feel exhausted. The most successful entrepreneurs work even when they don't feel inspired. The strongest people push forward even when they are unmotivated. That is what separates winners from those who stay stuck in mediocrity. Laziness also creates a dangerous cycle. The more you give into it, the harder it becomes to break free. When you constantly avoid hard work, your mind and body get used to comfort. You start to crave the easy path, and over time, even small tasks feel overwhelming. But the good news is that the opposite is also true. The more you push yourself to take action, the easier it becomes. If you force yourself to wake up early, work out, learn new skills, and stay disciplined, your mind adapts. Hard work stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming a habit. The world does not reward laziness. It does not care about how many times you plan to start. It only rewards those who take action. If you allow laziness to control you, you will wake up one day filled with regret, wondering where all the time went and why you never became the person you could have been. Procrastination is one of the most destructive habits a person can develop. It doesn't just waste time, it wastes potential. It kills dreams, delays success, and robs people of the life they could have had. The worst part, it feels harmless in the moment. Unlike obvious failures, procrastination disguises itself as something small, something innocent. I'll do it later. I'll start tomorrow. I'm just waiting for the right time. But these small delays add up, and before you know it, weeks, months, or even years have passed, and you are still standing in the same place, no closer to your goals. Procrastination is not just laziness. It's a mindset problem. It is the result of fear, doubt, and a lack of discipline. People procrastinate because they fear failure, so they avoid starting. They procrastinate because they doubt themselves, thinking they're not ready yet. They procrastinate because it is easier to stay comfortable than to push through discomfort. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Every time you delay, you reinforce the habit of procrastination, making it more difficult to break free. Think about all the great things you could have achieved by now if you had started earlier. What if you had taken that first step a year ago? Where would you be today if you had been consistent instead of postponing? The sad reality is that many people realize too late that procrastination was their biggest enemy. They look back with regret, wishing they had started sooner, wishing they had used their time wisely. One of the biggest lies procrastination tells you is that you need to feel ready before you start. But readiness is a myth. No one ever feels completely prepared before taking on a challenge. Successful people don't wait until they feel ready. They start before they are ready. They take action even when they feel uncertain, even when they feel unprepared. Why? Because action creates momentum, and momentum leads to progress. The sooner you start, the sooner you learn, improve, and move forward. Another dangerous aspect of procrastination is that it creates unnecessary stress. When you constantly delay tasks, they don't disappear, they pile up. The longer you avoid them, the bigger they seem, and the more overwhelmed you feel. This cycle continues until the pressure becomes unbearable, forcing you to rush through things at the last minute. This leads to lower quality work, missed opportunities, and a constant feeling of being behind. Imagine how much smoother and more effective your life would be if you simply did things on time instead of pushing them off. Procrastination also affects confidence. When you continually avoid responsibilities, you train your brain to believe that you are incapable, that you lack discipline, that you are someone who doesn't follow through. Over time, this erodes your self-esteem. On the other hand, when you start taking action, no matter how small, you build trust in yourself. You start seeing yourself as someone who gets things done, who follows through on commitments, who takes control of their own life. The truth is, procrastination is a choice. Every time you delay, you are choosing comfort over progress, excuses over results, and regret over success. But just as procrastination is a habit, so is action. You can train yourself to stop waiting and start doing. It won't be easy at first. Your mind will resist, your habits will fight back, but the more you push through, the stronger you become. There is no perfect time to start. The only time you have is now. If you continue to wait, you will wake up one day realizing that you have wasted too much time, that your opportunities have passed, that your dreams have faded. But if you start today, right now, you take back control, you break the cycle, you move forward, because in the end, the only way to destroy procrastination is to act before it destroys you. Your comfort zone feels safe. It feels familiar. It's the place where everything is predictable, where nothing challenges you, where there is no fear of failure, rejection, or struggle. But what most people don't realize is that the comfort zone is one of the biggest traps in life.